Hello everybody, thank you for coming. I'd like to call this meeting to order. We can begin with Pledge of Allegiance. Can you join us?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to remind everybody to please silence their cell phones, and if anybody is recording the meeting, nobody. Oh, turn on the microphones, everybody. Nick, after the meeting, if you would give the video memory card to Theo so that he can upload it, and go ahead and begin with the roll call tonight.
Okay. Roll call. Mayor?
Here.
Ms. Purcival?
Here.
Mr. Costigan?
Here.
Mr. Sidlow?
Here.
Mr. Solicitor?
Here.
Mr. Engineer?
Here.
Mr. Bull?
Here.
Ms. Guy?
Here.
And Mr. Powers?
Here.
The finance, Donna said she wasn't going to be able to make it. They had a company event, and Perry is also not able to make this meeting tonight. He let me know. And did everyone read the minutes that were sent this morning by Timika? Are there any objections to the approval of the minutes? All those in favor of approving the minutes?
Need a motion?
Oh, I'll make, what? You didn't see them this morning?
I mean, I can abstain. I didn't see the minutes. Just give a second.
All right.
I'll second.
All right, thank you. And all those in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
All those opposed? Approved. And do we have any correspondence?
Yes, we have correspondence from one of our residents, a Leah Capobianco. She's at Dear Mayor and Borough Council members, today my husband received a death threat. He posted a warning letter on a resident's door as a response to a complaint and was verbally abused. He walked away and did not engage. A few minutes later, someone called the borough office about this incident, and the message was left, "I hope you die and I will kill you." Then I found out the guy who verbally abused my husband went to my home and posted a warning letter on my door. Let me tell you why this is a problem. This incident is now compromised not only my husband's safety, but also my safety. A hardworking borough employee and a former council member was doing his utmost best to enforcing the code and laws in the borough and ended up being harassed. He was doing his job. This has not happened, this has happened before. This started with you, Council President Anna Guy, and your hateful Facebook page. It started when you allowed all these hateful comments to continue and even planned to remove the code enforcement officer as of 2019 and 2020 when you did not get the majority. If this continues, to my husband being wrongly accused, about getting kickbacks and violations and things of that nature, it just seems unfair. I would encourage encourage that preconceived notions to continue taking place in consideration the damage that has brought me and myself and my family. So now, here we are. I constantly look over my shoulder and pray to God that my husband and I are safe. I will constantly pray that my husband is alive. Despite all these, we won't leave. No one will make us leave this our home, and we've lived here for 17 years. My appeals to you is now denounce this horrifying act. My husband is doing his job good for Parkside Borough.
Thank you, Timika. Is there anything else?
And just a note from the tax collector, Ed Fisher, and Mr. Fisher posted April 12th, 2022 to May 5th, 2022. The treasurer received $1,062,772.66. $132,493.71 in revenue was deposited from April 12th to May 5th. Ed Fisher. That's it. Thank you.
Mayor?
Thank you, Madam President. Okay, crimes reported in April. There were 4. One was an assault, one was identity theft, one was harassment, and one was criminal mischief. 78 calls of service. 6 of them were suspicious persons, 4 were medical emergencies, 15 were assist other agencies, and 1 was a domestic. Traffic detail, there were 22. Motor vehicle stops, there were 16. Traffic citations, there were 11, and warnings, there were 2. During the month of April, we received 2 new mobile data terminals for the marked cars. These were obtained from the 911 center to replace aging computers in our cars. One has already been installed and the other one is awaiting to be scheduled. Also, in April, we added trauma bags to both marked vehicles for medical emergencies, thanks to Officer Stoppenbach. That's it.
Thank you very much. And now is the time for the call to citizens for agenda-related items only. Okay, then if nobody has anything, we'll move on. In last month's meeting, I was asked by a resident if I would be able to perform my duties as council president despite my illness. I have to admit I was dumbstruck by the question as I struggled to grasp what illness she was referring to before Mr. Amuso stated that it was an inappropriate question. It wasn't until later that I realized she was referring to my depression. May is Mental Health Awareness Month, so I am taking this opportunity to do my part to raise awareness. Did you know that 1 in 5 adults experienced a mental illness prior to the outbreak of COVID-19? Everybody knows someone who takes medication for depression, anxiety, bipolar disorder, and numerous other mental health conditions, whether they realize it or not. While the diagnosis and treatment have greatly improved during my lifetime, and we have come a long way in destigmatizing mental illness, we obviously still have a ways to go. I have always been open with my friends that I take medication for depression. I do not feel shame that I have a managed medical condition, much like diabetes or high blood pressure. This is not something that defines me, nor prevents me from being a good wife, mother, employee, and council member. By sharing my story, my hope is to help others understand that depression is a real medical condition that can be helped with proper treatment. How many lives could have been saved if we stopped shaming people suffering from mental illness and made it easier for them to seek treatment? Given the recent announcement that Crozer is suspending many of their behavioral health services, the importance of destigmatizing mental illness and supporting our neighbors who may be struggling is of the utmost importance. The message for 2022's Mental Health Awareness Month is Together for Mental Health. I would like to see Parkside come together as a community to support instead of shame each other as we face increasing rates of mental illness while we lose some critical behavioral health supports. If you need help finding a mental health provider, there will be a list of supports in the borough office, or you can reach out to me by email.
God is not shaming you. I'm asking a serious question.
Is there anyone from the firehouse here, Rob? Rob, Mr. Powers?
I'm sorry?
Is there anyone from the firehouse here?
Not that I know of.
Okay, Minnie,
No.
thank you.
Mrs. Guy, if we're still on the president's report, I have a question.
Okay.
you directed Mr. Capobianco to give the SIM card to Mr. McCleary. Is there a reason why, since he's taping also, that we're sharing this, or?
Because this is the one that's actually paid for by Borough. We paid for the camera, the microphones, all
I'm
of
aware of that.
And Mr. McCleary is handling our website and he'll upload the video
But we also uploaded to YouTube.
to another channel on YouTube, right, which I don't
So-
have access to.
Yeah.
Anybody can go onto YouTube and Google Parkside Borough Council meeting, and it's right on there. You don't need a membership.
I understand, but when we made the transition, I was never given access to the YouTube channel. And so we started another one.
I'm a little lost, so you want to start your own YouTube?
It's actually been started.
Well, when were we, again, transparency, when was the rest of council going to be informed that this happened?
Transparency, why wasn't I given access to the other YouTube channel?
Did you ask?
I've asked for access to all of the things I'm not given.
Did you ask for the YouTube channel information?
Not
We don't own
specifically,
it.
would you give that to me?
We don't own it.
I don't
It's-
own it.
You don't own it. Okay, so why are we uploading videos to a YouTube channel that we don't have access to?
You're skirting and deflecting away from my question as to when was all of council going to be told there is a new YouTube channel so that we can share that information with our relatives, friends, families.
It's on the website.
Okay, one more time. Would you please tell me when this decision was made? Because obviously, I don't think any of us knew that.
I didn't know this was a decision that had to be made by all of council.
But with transparency, transparency would indicate a quick email to all of council saying, this is what's happening with YouTube.
Okay, I hear your concerns. I appreciate them. Thank you. Moving on.
And no
Can I just ask
answer.
a quick,
No answer.
a clarifying question. So, this YouTube channel that the videos are being posted to is not a borough YouTube channel. It's not run by the borough.
The one where the
Where
that
the current-
camera is
yeah.
being uploaded
Is
to? Well, Nick uploads it, I assume, but apparently it doesn't belong to the borough, so I'm not sure why we're still using that since somebody else owns it who is not associated with the borough.
At one time, this person was.
Well, now the memory card belongs to the borough.
Keep
We
it. You guys
purchased
do
it.
I'm not gonna touch it no more.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
I'll bring my own camera and I'll upload it, don't worry.
Could you please send everybody an email as to how the link is for YouTube so we can share that?
It's on the website, correct?
Yes.
It's on the website. Okay, Minnie?
I changed my mind. I'm not prepared to answer the questions you were answering.
Okay, thank you. Moving on, finance report, Mr. Ball.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report for the month of February.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay, so moved.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to accept the treasurer's report from April.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. I would like to make a motion to pay the bills.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So moved.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple quick comments. There's been a lot of question about reconciling the accounts. It would stand to reason that we could have a post date. We have moved up the meeting 1 full week, which is given, the accounting firms 1 full week less time to process our accounts and move forward. It's an easy accounting practice to just say, this is the date that we're closing, this is the day we'll cut checks, this is the day we'll submit payments and keep things moving along. I do believe it is basically born out of losing the week, but I believe it was made on good assumptions that it would still allow the rest of the professional staff enough time to do what they needed to do to move us to the 3rd week. there are a number of moving pieces beyond just reconciling the accounts, and in many cases, it really only adds for chances of error. Currently, our reporting errors are far worse than the Borough of Parkside's actual transaction errors. So things are being notated improperly, things are being recorded improperly, and then what we're doing is going back and reconciling essentially the reports where we're finding anomalies, like a 600% difference between last year and this year, or something that's being credited to the wrong part of the statement as far as that goes. So it's just one of those things where it's not a hard stop and a hard start. It's kind of always a moving picture. It's always, it's $1.8 million over the course of 12 months. A lot comes out, a lot goes in as far as that goes. So the accounting firm is doing a nice job. They're staying up with it, but our finances are in good shape. There are outside things that have affected them. Price of gas, we drive, we have police cars, we have trucks, we have things. The cost of goods has gone up immensely. There are those things. And to put it into a little bit more of a pragmatic term, I've been on here for 12 years, and we were just over $1 million when I started. So trash fees, $73 when I started. Trash fees significantly higher now, all the way through. So now, for a very small borough, we're at $1.8 million for an annual budget, and our bank statements and reconciled accounts came through via email at 41 pages, and the report to the borough came through at another 27 pages. So there's a lot of moving pieces. I think in some cases it's excessive, but there are generally accepted accounting practices that we have to abide by, and sunshine laws, all the different rules, all the different regulations. But I just wanted to go through, because at one point, and I apologize if I need to, last month I was kind of like, I don't understand all the questions, because these are all questions we've all been able to reconcile as a council, as a treasurer, as this, and then we had a nice unified treasurer's report. And I've only been doing the treasurer side of things for a few years now. I took it over after Mr. Demon left, and I've enjoyed that part of it. But just wanted to break it down. So I came with the intent to essentially read the report. It's 70 pages. We'd be here until midnight. And when I started saying I wanted to read the report, there's a lot of inaccuracies in the report itself. So we'll get those reconciled. It's not affecting the finances of the borough. It's just how the transactions are recorded. It's just how things are, they didn't know an invoice was going to be sent. This didn't get done, that didn't get done. But after a month, it all looks good. So I had set out to read the treasury report. I didn't mean to drag this out. And I realized that it was just going to be a ridiculous use of time. So we do all read the treasurer's report, and it does take a lot of time. And there are times when we notice a lot of anomalies, then we bring it up here, and then it looks like somebody's not doing what they were supposed to do. But the state of the borough financially is doing pretty good. I saw that there was a motion for adding, where was it at?
The treasurer, the online bank accounts.
I did send you an email that I had spoke with at least Sharon Bank, that we have to get, some of the signers changed over. Still need to get Timika added, and they will have a registered user. Somewhat of the debate that arose was they wanted to log in on a signer's account. And if you start paying bills and doing things like that, 5 years from now, if there was an overpayment or if there was a mispayment or something like that, all of a sudden it's no longer a financial thing, it's a political thing, or it's that, and it could affect you as well. If you were like, it's okay if Brinker Simpson signs in and does this under my name, years from now when you want to reconcile, years from now when there are issues that need to be addressed, it's not under the treasurer,
Yeah,
it's
no,
under you.
they'll get one that is for their
Well, that
use.
was where the conversation came up.
Right.
But originally, their discussion was that they weren't interested in having that level of access, and then it changed. So,
Do we feel like we need to make a motion on that?
I mean, we,
Just table it.
Okay.
I think that what you're saying makes sense. I do hear that concern, definitely, that they shouldn't be logging in on a person's account.
It's not that.
Right. I just think that by now, I felt like we could have resolved that solution by now, so.
it didn't truly fall on me.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just
As
saying
far as that,
collectively.
you know what I mean? Like, we still don't have the secretary as a signer yet, you know, and there was just been a lot of, you know, I mean, I hate to say it out loud, but I drive a car for essentially a living. If you say, meet me at the bank, I'm gonna meet you at the bank. There's no, you can say, meet me at the bank, I'll be at the bank. So there has been issues with getting everybody in the same place. The secretary has, you know, now that we're gonna move towards getting you as a signer, that she can meet me and then we can get this taken care of. So I think even though it took 5 months to get it addressed, it'll get addressed.
And I wasn't trying to blame you in any way or anything.
I
It was
never
just.
took it that way.
No,
Yeah,
I
just-
know.
Yeah.
But I was just saying, we as a council and as with the treasurer, I think, should have been able to resolve this. So I'm
Oh,
glad that we are
absolutely.
now, so.
Oh, yeah. And there are certain times when it should be truly a paper thing. They reconcile to the statement. Because just signing in, there's no closing date, there's no posting date, there's no accounting that really truly takes place. It's just generated at random, and then, you know, just one date, once 31 days, once 26 days, once so many days, so. But I think it's all resolved. But I just wanted to take a couple minutes and have a couple of those bullet points to address it. Pardon me, because I didn't want to bore everyone with 70 pages of document reading. And with that, I'll report general progress. Moving on to the open space report. The sign with the misspelling was ordered. They sent us a sign that was still misspelled. So, not truly my department to order signs, but it was clarified. It was clarified. You know, I mean, I hate to say it. People are doing their jobs and they're doing as best as they can as far as that goes. But, you know, the message went out that the sign was misspelled. The sign was reordered. The sign appeared misspelled. So,
You couldn't write that.
just saying. And there is an ongoing Eagle project that will actually identify some of the species of trees that are back in the woodlot and make a little bit of an arboretum with a place where you can scan in and find out about the trees and find out the different species, where their habitats are, and a few other things like that. It's ongoing. I hope it maintains steam, and I hope it comes to the borough in the next year as far as that, because I think it'll be a really neat addition to the way we utilize the woodlot. So with that, I will report general progress.
Thank you very much, Mr. Bull. Police and Public Safety, Mr. Costigan.
Thank you, Madam President. So as you may be aware, last month we authorized the police chief to hire a second full-time officer. So the chief has been working on that, putting together the hiring process for that. If you would like to describe a little bit about how that process might go, and just for the public to be aware of how that's happening.
In order to be fair to all the part-time police officers that we have, 8 of them, I think, We put a memo out to all of them asking for their interest in moving from part-time to full-time. 3 of those officers responded to that. Those 3 officers will be interviewed on June 2nd by a panel of outside police chiefs that I have invited in to do that. They will report back to me their findings, the result of those interviews, and then I will present that to council for their final approval so that we can move forward with the hire.
Thank you.
And I believe you said that the hope was to hopefully have a second officer hired by the middle or the end of June.
We should be able to do this prior to or at the next Borough Council meeting in June. We should be ready for that. No problem.
Thank you.
Excellent.
That's all I have for public safety. For recreation, the recreation committee is planning lots of different events for the borough, so lots of exciting things happening. This Saturday there's a community yard sale through different, I think there's about 15 different houses across the borough participating in that, so check that out on Saturday. We're hoping to have a tie-dye event on May 28th where for the children to come and tie-dye a t-shirt and get together and have some fun. Also, I forgot about the community yard sale. I wanted to thank Brandon Driscoll for putting that together. I'm greatly appreciative of him for that. And then with the tie-dye event, I want to thank Beth Hale for organizing that and all of her artistic events. She's been a really great asset to our committee. We're also hoping to have a movie night in June. We've been trying to work together with Brookhaven to partner with them and have more events for both boroughs and for opportunities for people from Brookhaven and Parkside to get together. So we'll be inviting them to our movie night, and that same night, earlier in the evening, they're having a concert in the park. So that's in June as well. We'll have the 4th of July parade as always. And then we've been planning for Community Day, trying to plan for some senior events as well. Hopefully trying to put together a monthly event for seniors. So lots of things happening. And then our next meeting will be June 1st at 6 p.m. here in the Borough Hall. So if you're interested and you want to help plan these events, or if you have an idea, feel free to join us. So that's all I have for recreation, my brother.
Thank you very much. And Mr. Sidlow, ordinance report.
Okay, well, the first thing I want to talk about ordinances, I'm wondering if there's anybody either on council or members of the community who would like to kind of form a committee and go through all of the ordinances that the borough has. I think it's probably been a long time since there's been kind of a top to bottom review of the ordinances. So I would be interested in finding volunteers who want to form a committee and review all the ordinances. So if anybody has any interest in that, please bring that to my attention, and we can work on that.
I'm sure we did it in
2010.
Almost
We
positive.
just did it.
That's when we did it. I didn't mean to. I'm just saying. I believe in 2010 when we started the general code.
There was something in there about the shade tree program. Is that something that exists anymore?
I mean, it would be nice, but it's one of those. It's great to have a lot of committees.
Yeah.
You often end up sitting there by yourself.
Well, that's what I think we were thinking about with cleaning out the ordinances is, removing things that have no relevance
I mean, it would be
anymore.
great to have a shade tree committee, and it's proven time and time again that it adds value to people's properties and things like that. So I think it would be far more beneficial to invest in having a shade tree committee than to remove the ordinance to get rid of it. They've proven your house is worth 11% more across the board with just one tree, and it's good for mental health and everything else.
Does anybody even know what are the ordinances regarding those?
I don't know off the top of my head.
And I just think there's a lot of ordinances that are on the books that aren't enforced. For example, there's ordinances about lawn signs,
Oh, no, I
which
didn't-
are
I wasn't-
completely unenforced. So, you know, having ordinances on the books that are not enforced only opens the door for abuse. So it's better to just have them off the books.
We have the shade tree ordinance there for a specific reason, is because if we don't have it, we cannot obtain a grant.
Okay?
And the same with the hometown program. There's various ordinances in which we reviewed all of them 3 years ago. 10 years ago, we had the E-code come in and review all our ordinances for accuracy. When you delete an ordinance, you have to be careful that it doesn't affect any type of grant information. The shade tree and the hometown grants all required ordinances, so that if we are eligible for those grants, we don't have to start from scratch, we have the ordinance. And many of those grants were, ordinances were put in place for that reason, is because Pennsylvania and the federal government had various programs that were available if we instituted those ordinances.
That's great information. Sounds like you'd be a great resource as we look at what should be kept and should not be.
I think the biggest problem is if we did it 3 years ago and kept what we have,
3
then you
years
might
ago.
want to look at the.
You just said 12 years, you said 2010.
It was
10 years.
absolutely comprehensive when we did E-code. It was meeting after meeting after.
But that was to make sure that they were accurate, right? But were those
I
weren't
didn't mean to
reviewing if they were still relevant?
I did not mean to interfere with the councilman's time on his committee. My apologies.
So the code that I see that is most, or that brought this to my attention was, Pennsylvania has adopted the 2018 code cycle for construction and for electrical and for plumbing and for mechanical. And the borough code does not refer to those to what Pennsylvania is currently accepted. It still refers to an act from 1999. It's very out of date. Our borough codes still indicate that we should be enforcing the 2003 property maintenance code.
That's untrue. And I was involved when the UCC came in and BOCA went out. And I will tell you that every municipality wrote the ordinance to state that when a new code is adopted, we shall adopt that, so that every municipality did not have to once a year or every 2 to 4 years readjust their ordinance to state you will now adopt the 2018 code. So if you read the ordinance, it's specific to say that as the new codes come up, we automatically adopt them. And since you're on that, I understand that our code officers need new international building code books, international residency code books, and plumbing and HVAC. And I'd like to know if they're going to be ordered in hard copy.
And those cost, I understand the building ones cost $700, he said?
I mean,
No, all three, and let me say that the International Residential Code for 1 and 2 family dwellings is not down, you cannot download it. I tried. And there is not a download copy. So the International Building Code for a hard copy is $152. The International Residency Code 1 and 2 family dwellings is $207. Plumbing and HVAC, the whole collection, is $536 for a total for hard copy of $895. And that will do them for the next 2 years. And what they do is when you order the hard copies, when there's an amendment or an adjustment, they will send you that as part of it.
So, if these are old, like if there was an older edition of the book and they've updated it to the 2018 version, would that apply to what you're saying? So we've never had these books before?
Well, they're
We
just now
had, we
done.
had the old code books, but
It,
every time they make a new code, they take any type of amendments that's gone before the Uniform Construction Code Council, and they've added those to all the hard copies.
Well,
Two of them can be downloaded, one cannot. And we have, I don't want to say senior inspectors, but it's easier to have a hard copy in front of you because we don't have a designated computer for the inspectors to go in and look online. And you'd have to purchase the downloads anyhow.
So, Mr. Amuso, if I'm saying that correctly, we would have to go out of agenda to make a motion to purchase these books since it's not on the agenda.
Yeah, if you're gonna make a motion to add.
So I would like to make a motion to go out of, off the agenda.
So basically, you're making a motion to add to the agenda.
Add to the agenda.
A motion to purchase these books?
Yes.
You can certainly make that motion.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Yes.
Roll call vote, please.
On the docket, to add to the agenda?
Yeah, do we want to add it to the agenda?
Okay, we're gonna do a roll call for the, adding the motion to the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Sidlow,
Aye.
Ms. Guy,
No? Well, no.
nay. Mr. Costigan,
yes.
aye. Ms. Purcival,
Yes.
aye. Mr. Powers,
Yes.
Mr. Bull,
Yes.
it passed.
Okay, so I'll entertain a motion to buy the books
Could we have a little bit more discussion on this? Because I'm-
after we get the motion, right?
You need a motion
Okay,
second, then
okay.
you can discuss.
I'll make a motion to purchase the International Building Code Handbook, International Residency Code for 1 and 2 family dwellings, and the tab combo, and the plumbing and HVAC collection for a total cost of $895.
I'd like to add the International Energy Code to that as well.
I don't have a figure for that one.
Let's assume it's $200.
You can make it for a total amount not to exceed 11.
Not to exceed $1,000.
$1,095.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Scott, I thought you said you had access to it online.
So I use the International Energy Conservation Code every day in my professional life, and I'm able to get everything I need without a problem. I would rather see if the borough inspection team does not have a computer, I'd rather see us spend $1,200 on getting them proper computers so that they can be technologically active. If our code officials, with all due respect, do not have the abilities to use the computers, then I'm not sure that that's, at this day and age, that's kind of a qualification for being a professional in our society, is being able to use technological devices. So I would rather us purchase a computer for the code department than
And get the electronic version.
and get the electronic versions than spend the money on.
And he actually told me that the Upland Borough, where he also works, has the hard copy version. So if that's the only thing he can use, if he can't use the computer one, he has access to them elsewhere. You know, maybe that's unfair that Upland purchased them, but I don't see how it makes any sense to purchase a hard copy, non-searchable
But
version.
the residential code, 1 and 2 family dwelling, you cannot download.
If that's the case,
I don't think you need to download it. I think you just need to go on and search it and just look at it.
But you're looking at 3 inspectors who, personally, I'd rather have a book in front of me than a computer. Because if you need to make copies of it, I know you can print it, but for our inspectors, it's easier to look at a book versus a computer screen. And not everybody's computer literate, even in this day and age.
Well, nowadays, more and more are, and those that are not are less and less, and I would prefer not to buy a hard copy. I would prefer
I
to
would
buy
like
an
to have a
electronic.
vote, please.
All right, so this is the vote for the hard copy
But we
version.
Yes.
never had public comment.
We do have to have
Sure,
public
public
comment for that.
comment.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, we do, when there's a motion.
When a motion is added to the agenda after the fact.
Hi, here's my question. If we buy the books, would they be property of the borough?
They would.
And they would last for 2 years?
They last till Pennsylvania adopts.
Okay,
Changes
I'm gonna just be old lady here and say I like a book in front of me. When I'm researching, it sometimes makes it easier. I understand that people are computer literate, but I don't see a problem with us making this investment if it works for our inspectors. If this is what makes them comfortable and this is what they think to do the job properly, I don't see $1,000, well, it's less, it's 800, right? 800 being that much of an expenditure. I think it's a good investment for 2 years. We invested more in, the microphones that we weren't sure about. So I think we're fine. It's just my opinion.
Just following up, I just wanted to ask for, just for transparency, how much are the downloads compared to the hard copies? Do you have that information?
Yes. The building code is $152 for the hard copy versus $137 for the download. The residential code 1 and 2 family dwelling plus the tab combo, there is no download.
Okay, you said that.
And that's $207. The plumbing HVAC collection is $536. Download is $456. So you're saving $302.
Okay.
Plus, you have to then still purchase the residential code book.
Thank you, I just wanted to, just for clarity, thank you.
I just wanted to say that the books being available are proof that you don't need to be computer literate to have that job.
Just like to say, if you enforce the codes and the ordinances, it'll pay for the books.
Just to add on to that, one thing is, and I would take it as a senior citizen, folks here, is that if somebody showed me a book, showed me in black and white, I think it makes a lot more sense to me, and it would make a lot more sense to a lot of other younger people too here. And I know there's much more younger people than me. You show me a book and you show me in black and white, makes it much easier than I see it on a computer, where I can think of my first things but can be adapted or can be changed. But if it's in black and white there, I don't have much to say against it.
When you said younger people, you meant me, right?
This isn't a matter of computer literacy, it's comfort level. If my college student wanted a book, rather than download the book, I would give him whatever he needed to make him most successful. So if he said to me, Mom, I don't want to download this, I want the actual book in my hands, that is where we have to set ourselves up for success within our borough.
The book itself isn't often the real fruit. It's when they send the amendments out. Because then you just get like a 24-page and you get to see what changed. And sometimes they make some of the changes that they make are significant. And then when you have that 24 pages.
I appear to be the only one who is arguing against buying the book, so let's take a vote.
Just before we do that, I'm just curious, what have the inspectors been using before this point if they don't have the books now?
I have the last edition.
Okay.
We
Every
purchased
2
several
years
years ago.
they want you to get the new book.
Of course.
It's like college.
Yeah.
Math hasn't changed in a long time, and they still sell you a new math book. So
Are the amendments free, Ms. Purcival, or are they?
They send them to them once you get the hard copy,
Oh.
and then when the new edition comes in, they've all been included into
Okay.
it.
So you're not paying extra for those all the time?
No, and say the International Residential Code 1 and 2 family, they actually do what's called a tab combo, where if they need to look up information, they have different tabs that'll guide them to that specific section. It's a good resource.
Shall we vote? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? I give up.
just please make sure we get the energy conservation code, because that's a new code that has not been, it's not a new code, it's just not being enforced the way it should be.
Did you want to let somebody in the office know that, Mr. Sidlow?
You can send me,
yeah.
Do you want me to send you an email?
Yes. Thank you. Just send me an email.
And I can do the training of the
I will do that.
borough code enforcement officer, borough building inspector on how to enforce it.
I believe they're already certified. Mr. Ferguson, I believe, is already certified in energy.
Okay.
But I don't know
Because
that.
when I spoke with him, he wasn't very familiar with it, so.
Okay, was there anything for license and inspections report?
The usual rundown, there were 10 building permits, 2 plumbing, 2 electrical, 7 use and occupancy, and 1 reinspection.
Mr. Capobianco, anything?
Thank you. Yes, there was 1 maintenance issue, there was 5 overgrown grass issues, there was 1 violation of basketball court, as you heard. I was getting threatened at. And the last one, last council meeting I brought up about a car leaking oil over in the 100 block of West Rowan. In front of you, I gave all the council and our solicitor pictures of what this car is doing. So last council meeting, I gave a verbal warning to this gentleman to get his car fixed. Still didn't get fixed, as you see. So on voting day, I happened to see this gentleman. I approached him, and while I was talking to him, he was just yesing me to death on his phone, just looking the other way. So I went back to the office, wrote a letter, put it on his door. He's got now 7 days to clean up this mess. The problem is, in which I notified Chief Murray and our fire marshal, if you look at the 3rd page, seeing the oil going up from his house up to Closer. Now, I didn't take pictures the other way, but Chief Murray can attest for me that it's going up on the unit block now, halfway up and then on Norfolk. So I talked to Mr. Amuso about this, and after the guy cleans this up, if he cleans it up, I could take him to court. The problem is, who's going to clean up this mess on the streets? I've been getting complaints left and right, taxpayers, that they have to look at this. So I did get a suggestion from our vice president to get ADU Services to come in here and they will clean all this up. Problem with that is you have to put a lien against the house. Now this guy just moved in about 8-9 years ago, so Jim doesn't want to do it that way because he would have to wait a long time to get paid. Mr. Musso and I talked about this, and what he suggested was that we get the guy to come in and clean it, the borough pays for it, but then the borough would have to put a lien against the house so it gets sold. So we're trying to cut down the time of this gentleman getting paid for cleaning up 3 roads.
If I may, it's a common practice, and obviously the vendor can't wait 10 years to get paid. But if it's something important for the borough to clean up, that we're cleaning up because he is violating our local ordinance, that is something we could then lien his property, and then we get paid when he sells it or refinances or a myriad of reasons. Do we have any idea how much this might cost?
We'll talk to Jim tomorrow morning. I just wanted to run it by council before I go ahead of anybody else.
So, be wary of bidding. I don't think it'll go above the threshold.
Here's the problem with the cleanup. The first picture that you see with the oil dry in the driveway, that absolutely has to be picked up and it can be thrown in the trash. There's no hazard with the oil dry. You're allowed to throw up to, at one time, 5 pounds of oil dry in the trash. Even though it's an eyesore on the street, that will never come up. There's no product at all that's going to clean that street to bring that up. If the car continues to leak, then we have to get the car while it's leaking, call the police, and have the guy cite it, and the car could be towed. It's a waste of money to try and bring somebody out here to clean the street. That oil stain is never going to go away. It's embedded in the street, and it's not a hazard the way it sits.
I agree, and hypothetically, if you did clean it up, the car's still there, so it's gonna run all over the street again.
The goal was to make sure this car doesn't continue to leak and he's driving it around this way.
Yeah.
There's no chemical in the world that's going to remove oil from an asphalt. It's an eyesore, and we probably should have cited them right from the start so it didn't get to this point. So now we have the same problem in Cisco Court. The same exact problem. Private property where the apartment sits in Cisco Court. Cisco Court then turns into borough property because it's a street. It runs out of Cisco Court all the way up Gray Street to Edgemont Avenue. Same problem. So if we clean one street, we'd have to start turning around, clean every street in the borough that is an eyesore. Like I said, the goal is to prevent this from happening. Make sure it doesn't happen again.
I did talk to the chief about that, and he said he was going to look into the code. He just can't stop the car. I can't stop the car. Please.
Yeah, a car that's leaking, there's nothing in the vehicle code that enables a police officer to stop a car and cite them for that. There's nothing there. That's gone. It's a little far-reaching to stop a car because there's some fluid leaking from it.
There has to be somewhere in the motor vehicle codes that the car is not safely being operated.
And we have an ordinance that's specific to 116-8, which says oil on a public street. So your officers are sworn to uphold the laws of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, also the Borough of Parkside. Wouldn't this pertain to that situation?
I think it's a reach.
Yeah, he's not.
I think it's a real reach.
Even if it's a reach, I mean, couldn't we tell the guy, fix it or
Well,
don't drive it?
We've done that. We put him on notice. Okay, the next thing to do would be for the codes officer to cite him for failing to take action and get it corrected.
That's what's happening. That's what's happening. I'm going after him. I'm just worried about the streets because I'm getting all the complaints about it. And I don't know what to do about
It
it.
might fall under DEP, to be honest with you.
Well, there's a storm inlet there, so
Yeah, and if it's a storm
definitely.
inlet, it would fall under environmental protection.
Mhm.
I mean, if you're getting to the point where you're putting oil dry down, like I'm not anyone that would pile on someone that needs to maintain their car, but that's gone. It's gone on for a long time. That's gone on for a couple paychecks.
Okay.
Like,
All right.
it's a DEP issue.
Let me know what you find out. I'd like to talk to you about that more. Is there anything else about this?
No, that's all I have.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Powers, Public Works Property.
Thank you, Madam President. Borough properties have been maintained for the month. The borough building has been sanitized and wiped down. I'd like to thank Anna for her assistance. She was able to contact somebody from Brookhaven Borough. They came in and sanitized and fogged the borough building, including the police department, while I wiped everything down in Clorox and bleach. So that the building has been sanitized and it was for free. So thanks for everybody who helped for that. I'll go right into the fire marshal report and et cetera. Health inspections and fire inspections in the borough are completed. Everybody is in with state and borough codes. We do have 2 ice cream vendors that have been inspected. One's Jack and Jill, one's Mr. Softy. Their vehicles have been inspected. They gave all their certifications, inspections, and truck insurance and food insurance. So there is 2 vendors. Emergency management, we had a 2 weeks ago on the storm that we had in the nor'easter, we had a tree come down on a house on Upland Road. I'd like to thank Nick for his assistance and Parker. There was no structural damage and nobody was injured. They have insurance, their property is already cleaned up, and they're working on permits to replace their roof and property that was damaged. Other than that, I have general progress.
Okay. All right, and thank you again for reminding me, and a shout out to Terry Heller from Brookhaven for offering to send somebody over to sanitize the building for free, which was a great savings of money. And let's see, Ms. Purcival, recycling MS4.
Thank you. Our totals for April for trash was 106.12 ton. Recycling was 18.28 ton. Delaware County Solid Waste has informed us that they will be removing our igloos for recycling. They've had numerous issues. I've given everybody a handout for our MS4 public education outreach information. I'd like to have that posted on our website, including in our minutes, and also for the newsletter. And to our engineer, if you would put that in our packet for the next round of MS4 permits, I'd appreciate it. That will count to give us some brownie points.
Do you have this electronically?
I can send that to somebody.
Me? I'll take that and then I'll pass it on so it can get in the newsletter on the website.
Got it. Or you can just scan it.
Oh, no, please.
And that's all I have tonight.
Thank you. And let's see, communications, Perry is not here. I would like to thank our volunteers again for all their hard work and remind everybody that we're always looking for more volunteers to help with the newsletter. Let me know if you have any, let Perry know if you have any ideas. And let's see, tax collector done. Mr. Rogo, do you have a report?
Thank you, Madam President. Edgemont Avenue TCDI corridor study. This grant was submitted to DVRPC on April 27th and is currently under review. DVRPC Review Committee will announce selection results on the 23rd or 24th of June. 2022 road program, a prioritized street list has been distributed to council for determining the streets to be paved. While looking at these streets, it was noted that West Garrison had utility markings along the roadway. If unfinished, or planned trenching is still to be done on West Garrison, it's recommended not to pave the street until the work's completed. I was just wondering if anyone knew of the work that was to be done.
I think they tore it up since then to do some work, because the Red Rob wasn't that West Garrison where all the trucks were.
Yep.
So I think
that work's completed.
They've done. Is it completed? Do we know, Rob?
I don't know if it's been completed.
Well, the goal is to possibly put this out to bid in June, and the work will probably start in July. So just be aware, if you select West Garrison, make sure that roadway, the trenching and everything is completed prior to paving.
Absolutely.
The work's getting done in June, Madam President. I talked to Miller Brothers and Pico. I'm on top of this. I'm making sure that street is well paved, maybe look better than it was. They told us starting June. I sent you the email.
Mm-hmm.
So
That would be wonderful.
They say they're going to take care of it. So
That would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Then we don't have to worry about that for a few years.
One more item, county stormwater ordinance. The county has released a draft of the updated county stormwater ordinance and a list of changes that were made compared to the previous version. This was circulated to council via email on April 19th. The model stormwater ordinance satisfies DEP's Act 167 requirements and regulatory requirements for municipalities as implemented through NPDES permits. There's a municipal workshop meeting via Zoom on Thursday, May 26th from 1 o'clock till 3 o'clock if anyone is interested. The timeline to get this ordinance adopted and submitted to DEP is time sensitive with the deadline of September 30th. Other than general progress, I have nothing further to report.
The first item, the grant, the Edgemont grant, can you explain that a little better?
Well, previous meetings got authorization to apply for a grant to DVRPC for the traffic corridor study on Edgemont Avenue. And that was submitted April 27th, and we'll hear back on the 23rd or 24th of June whether or not we received the grant.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
And we're still waiting on implementation for the open space
Yes.
grant. Okay.
Can I ask the engineer, please? Can we choose streets to be done tonight to stay within budget for our liquid fuel monies so that that gives you an opportunity to look ahead to the bid process?
I think that we should, as borough council members, get a chance to look at these streets ourselves.
Since this was just sent out today, that's up to council, but
Yeah,
it
I
would
would
also
like
have
to
to
wait
be
on
added to
that.
the agenda.
Because as I found out, we can pay for a flashing pedestrian light with liquid fuels money. And, what else were we talking about? Oh yeah, we can also, the bed of the truck we can repair with liquid fuels money. So these are things that we can use liquid fuels money on that I did not know that we could.
How about just painting the curbs, the crosswalks, the handicap lines, all the different ways that a borough or a street would get painted so that we have good sense of where you can park, where you can't park. It seems like, and hiring a contractor to repaint all the curbs and crosswalks and everything like that would be a really good use of money as well.
Well, we have a
We do that.
maintenance person that does
Yeah.
that.
The Public Works Department does that.
Yeah,
We
Public
have
Works
all the
does that.
equipment to paint lines, and we have all the silhouettes that we need. Brian and I have done it for
Years.
15 years. The only ones we can't touch are some of the ones on Edgemont Avenue, because we can't shut down Edgemont Avenue properly without someone getting hurt. We've reached out to PennDOT quite a few times, and I don't think we've ever got anywhere with them. So some of the crosswalks along the avenue need to be done. I agree with you 100% in a safely manner. But as far as the side streets, the stop signs, and all the paintings, all the markings, Ryan and I have done them since Nick's done them with us. So we have the equipment to do it.
Okay.
So,
When
but,
will
you
we
know,
have an open discussion amongst council as to the road program versus some of your suggestions?
Well, I was going to ask Mr. Rogo to come back to me with some estimates on what things would cost. Our different options for the crosswalk. I don't know if you've ever tried to cross Edgemont Avenue, but I mean,
I understand that.
no offense to the police, but I've literally had 4 different precinct police cars drive right past me when I'm standing at the crosswalk. So we do need something to make it so that people can cross there, because nobody pays any attention to it. So I would like to see what our options
If you email us any items that you'd like in addition to paving, we can get a cost estimate together and determine and verify that they are eligible.
Okay, so let's gather some information this month and we'll bring it up at the next meeting.
And could we
And
get,
I would be happy to come back with a report of my own findings, if you want, as through the Public Works Department.
Certainly.
On roads that should be or shouldn't be.
I'd like to.
We make that suggestion by the
Certainly.
next council meeting.
And I understand we have not received the bill for salt yet that we used this past winter.
I'm sorry, Shirley, I didn't hear that.
We have not received the bill for salt from this past winter, or have we?
Pretty sure we
That's
did.
good news, I guess.
I believe we did.
No?
Did we get that?
99%
Yes,
sure
we did.
that we.
We did.
They usually send it to us.
Yes.
They give us the tonnage and the amount.
And as
But
far
I
as,
haven't seen it either, so.
as far as the roads, the ones we have, the top 3 are Tom Sweeney between Garrison to Upland, which is rated a poor, and then West Garrison between Tom Sweeney to Arlington, and Tom Sweeney, Forest View to Garrison are both rated below average. And if there's any roads that residents are concerned about that I didn't just mention, let me know so that I can drive them and see what you're talking about, because I drive these ones all the time.
can we also get those figures for the crosswalks and everything else?
Sure.
Like maybe at least a few days before the meeting to have some
Yeah,
time.
like in a couple weeks.
Yeah, if you come up with a list, you can list crosswalks and the flashing lights, whatever you want.
Just so we can review it and then
Sure.
come to the meeting prepared to.
If you get that list over, we'll get a cost estimate together and verify that everything's eligible.
Excellent.
I will do that. I will give you the crosswalks and
Thank you.
get that over to Lisa.
Okay, and Mr. Amuso.
Thanks, actually. Dovetail on Mr. Road, I just want to ask, so I saw your email today asking us to look at these ordinances. So the deadline is September 30th is for council to pass the ordinance and send it to DEP. That's the deadline?
Yes, DEP wants the municipalities to adopt the ordinance prior to September 30th. And we also have to submit by September 30th to them. So I guess
so
at the
you'd rather
September meeting.
Yeah, or even the August meeting. It doesn't take long to advertise an ordinance. It just takes 7 days. So I was just trying to get a sense of when.
August would be perfect.
All right, so we'll make a goal to have a review for council by the July meetings, and then we can have it keyed up to approve by the August.
Perfect, thank you.
That's really all I have to report. We continue to work with Mr. Fisher's office on various liens and getting them satisfied. I think we have a good system for that. Otherwise, general progress.
That's exciting.
Can I ask the attorney, please?
Yes, of course.
Could you tell me how the right to know appeal is going?
Oh, I've not heard anything on that recently. I know we submitted the necessary documents. I can check on that for you. I mean, we provided all the requested documents. I have not seen a response from OOR. Usually once the parties have submitted their submissions, OR just kind of issues an opinion when it's on its own time. So as soon as we do get an opinion, we'll certainly immediately send that out to law council.
Thank you. And also on May 5th, I sent you an email as a follow-up. Mrs. Guy had set up a July meeting with the county executive director. My question was through email, because of all of council was invited, shouldn't this be a special meeting so the public can hear our concerns?
Right, and I don't think I had gotten the initial email. I did see your email, and so, yeah, I don't think all of council should be on a meeting with the county. I know different municipalities are handling it differently, but if the county is seeking input from council on what they want from the county, I do think either we don't have a quorum on that call, or it should be a special meeting. So I know some municipalities are just having their leadership on the call. Some, I guess, are having everybody, but I don't think that makes sense without having some kind of special meeting. So I don't know whether we landed on that.
Yeah, I think if you want to be on the call, I think it should be the president, vice president, secretary, and we should gather questions from the rest of council for that.
I personally think that all of council should be involved. We all have a varied opinion as to what the county can do for us and for our community.
I do. I mean, I just don't know the logistics. I think it's hard to. What is it? A phone call with?
It's a phone call. Yes, it's a conference call.
So I mean, it's hard to have a public conference call. I think it's too fraught. I mean, I think it makes sense for the president to collect questions. Certainly, if Ms. Purcival wants to be there, as long as there's not a quorum.
Right.
I think that makes sense.
What's the date of the meeting? July what?
22nd.
So who wants to go to that meeting and who's available?
It's a phone meeting.
My understanding, and I'm looking at the email, is that the county executive director would like to meet with leadership in each of the county's 46 municipalities. It's a 90-minute session, and Mrs. Guy has thrown it out to all of council. I was thinking that we were all invited.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think though the Sunshine Act concerns you raise are good ones if all of council is going to be there. So my recommendation is you have leadership. Anything up to less than a quorum of council, have the 90-minute call. And that way you don't have to worry about Sunshine Act issues. I don't think we can have a special meeting via conference call. And then certainly report back to council. Ms. Purcival, you're there. I mean, you certainly, no one's hiding anything. But I just think if you have a quorum of council, you're really risking deliberations and effectively taking official action by telling the county, hey, we're all here, this is what the Borough of Parkside is asking for. I think it's better if you have leadership and something less than a quorum on a conference call.
I'm confused, Mrs. Guy. This email from the director specifically said we would like to meet with you in your own space.
Oh, you're right. It is a
So,
physical- it is a physical.
I'm guessing it's not a conference call, but it's an in-person
I'd
thing?
forgotten about, okay, you're right, I do remember that, it is an in-person thing. And it's scheduled, I believe, during the day.
Yes, that's
right?
correct, and thank you for changing the time. It's July 22nd, and I believe the time was changed from morning to 1:30 to 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
Usually. Let's have 3 volunteers who want to go. And
Well, who wants to go?
who wants to go?
I would have liked to have gone, but I don't need to go if other people want to go. It's not a big deal.
I have the same opinion.
Mr. Baldwin?
I have no problem with just putting out there what I'd like to see
Okay,
as far as the future, but I do like those kind of calls too, so if it comes down that way, I'll agree to it.
Well, apparently it's a meeting.
Club meeting, yeah.
Mr. Powers?
I would decline.
You would decline? Okay. So it appears, Ms. Purcival, if it's you, me, and
One of us.
either Michael or Scott, we would not reach a quorum, it would be acceptable.
Thank you, Mr. Amuso.
Sure. Okay, time for call to citizens. If you have any borough-related concerns, please keep them short. Cool. I hate the mayor's thing. You know what, could you move the microphone, maybe even like...
Closer to them? Can it move?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's cordless, that's the whole thing, the cordless thing.
Nice.
Oh, you'll hear me.
Don't break it, Ken.
Okay, Andrew Slowick. My question is for the chief of police. Why do we go before the panel and not before the board first? For this police officer that we're going to hire full time. Why do we go before your panel and not before the board first?
We're going before the panel because police chiefs are experts in hiring police officers. They know what to expect. They know the correct answers to be looking for, as opposed to civilians which don't have that expertise.
But they'll take the findings and just hand stamp it for the officer that we want?
That's up to them.
Okay.
So if I
Just make a recommendation.
Yeah, I know they make a recommendation.
Candidate, and then it would go to the council to decide from there. Is that how it would be?
Yeah, you accept or decline his recommendation.
And that's normal.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a very fair process. I think we're trying to promote.
So can I ask a question before the mayor? Public comment. So is there a reason that you're making public comment instead of making a question as part of your official position?
No. I just want to, I'm not making a comment about anything. I just want to, I want to let everybody know when I did that fundraiser last month with the help from my friend. We did it not as the mayor, but I did it as a resident, which I've done many times before. Just wanted to let everybody know what that money went to. That's all. So we raised a little over $10,000. 200 went to the church, 500 went to the school, 2,000 went to the fire company, and 5,700 went to the police department. That's all I want to say. I wanted to bring it up last month, but because everything that was going on last month, I didn't bring it up. So, but and then the chief can explain what they used the money for. That's all.
This is just a comment, not a question. Sarah Haynes, Women of Parkside. Last month's Parkside Women's Community Group was canceled due to that crazy day with the weather. But Mayor Kim and Nicole Weeks, who was running for Republican State Council, both came anyway and ate my snacks. But this Sunday, from a half hour before sunset to 15 minutes after sunset, at the top of the fitness trail, there's a cool spot to see the sunset. And if you wanted to come out, bring your blankets or a chair. Me and Dina Sweeney will be hosting it.
Thank you.
Okay. Is it okay if I speak as I write? Maria Di Battista. First, I wanted to address Ms. Guy regarding something you spoke of as far as traffic patterns. If you would maybe do an evaluation of West Chelton Road between the 2 and 300 block, there is a stop sign at the, I know you know where I mean, there's a stop sign going to the dead end to go up to the back of Charity that nobody stops at. It's a thoroughfare to get to 95. People fly through there. There's a lot of children that have moved into that block of recent years, and they are outside playing ball. And fortunately, their parents have taught them really well to get out of the street, but not all children, and sometimes there's young ones, but they fly down that road. So if that's somewhere when you're looking for problem spots, I do view that to be a spot that should be evaluated.
Excuse me, what's the location again?
It's on West Chelton Road. It's between the 2 and 300 block where the stop sign is that leads up to the dead end that goes to the back of Charity's football field.
Right at Doug's house.
Yes, right at Councilman Bull's house. And then it goes right into Upland right there. And that's where people go down to get onto Church to go back, the back way to get onto 95 and Curlin.
Down, people going to get onto 95, you're saying, coming from...
Well, both directions, because they're coming home from work, they're going out to work. I mean, they fly down that road. I mean, it's bad, because it's two-way, and it's...
And sometimes if there's a car parked right there, I can't even see the stop sign. I know it's there, because I'm used to it. It stops automatically, but, yeah. You know where you're talking about. The other one is right by Paul's house, which is where people go the wrong way down the one-way road.
And ironically, the other reason I actually mainly came here today was an ordinance question / issue or consideration. Currently in the Parkside Borough Ordinance 69-10 is keeping of certain animals, one of which is chickens. Last time this was amended was 1991. As we all know, over the years, people have been trying to sustain themselves, whether it be green, whether it be shortages, for all different reasons. We are planting our gardens more. We are trying to make ourselves more self-sustainable. And I would ask that that is an ordinance that we maybe look at. I'm not saying roosters, because of course that becomes a noise ordinance, but just sustainability as a single household with the cost increases, but there are a lot of positives that come with owning chickens. You know, insect control, compost, fertilizing, things of such. Yes, eggs, absolutely. And it also becomes a really great learning tool for our children in making things better for ourselves. With all the shortages that we're coming up with and the price increases, I've talked to people lately that are paying $6 a dozen for eggs, and we can teach our children how to, you know, how to save money and teach them about life. And you know, a chicken can be a pet just like a cat or a dog. And I feel like there should be not so much of an issue with chickens when we all know the issue that we all have with skunk in Parkside. So I would hope that we raise up the chickens and shove down the skunk. So that would be something I would ask is when we're reviewing ordinances.
So the ordinance says no chickens, and you're advocating for chickens?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I don't mean free roaming through a neighborhood. I mean that they are confined. You know, not a chicken crossing the street to get to the other side. But furthermore, you know, within confines, within a coop, within your yard. You know.
So do you have any knowledge of, like, what requirements might be necessary in such an ordinance, like there has to be a certain structure built to maintain, and how many chickens was on kept, or any, do you have any knowledge of how to write that ordinance?
I would love to be a part of that.
I was in the 4-H years ago and actually raised chickens.
So from what I understand, and I did not find this information, I actually found information written by quite a few law students at Widener that were advocating for this within different counties, boroughs, etc., because it was something that was shut down a million years ago, well, 30 years ago, which is long enough, and it has not been revisited. But there are counties in Delaware County, a lot in Chester County, that are now opening up their minds to this and just saying, it is your property. If it's within the confines of your property, if there's no problems with not cleaning up, with all those kind of things, just as we would have for our cats and dogs. Mm-hmm. That it's something that there really doesn't seem to be a problem if it's kept within your own confines of your backyard. If the chickens aren't getting out, if they're in a coop and they're kept safe, I think it's a great opportunity for, not only learning but sustaining for our own families.
I appreciate you bringing that up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Share any research you have with me.
I absolutely will.
Thank you.
All right, thank you for your time.
Also, when we were talking about the stop signs, would those light up like flashing stop signs? Could you do that a little bit?
I looked into this about 2 years ago. It was gonna cost us almost like $2,500 a stop sign. With the LED flashing lights in them, solar mounted.
But maybe,
Very expensive.
Yeah, that is expensive, but if we know like there's a few spots that are really bad.
You can put whatever you want up. People, if they want on the stop sign,
If they're gonna
run.
stop, they're gonna
Like
stop.
Anna said, she's across Edgemont Avenue and took her life in her own hands. People don't care.
If you come, which you'll watch soon, if you come up Garrison, at beginning of school, after school, you can't get out of your driveway because they use West Garrison as a cut through. And the stop sign that yields onto Tom Sweeney, we might as well just take it out and save it for another spot. Because they may tap a brake. One small white car Saturday morning was going at least, and I couldn't calculate, maybe 40 miles an hour. And I thought it was going to tilt, and it just kept on going.
Another spot is Beechwood and West Roland. They just fly through there too.
Sorry. Lisa Cacharel. Just a couple of things for clarification. Sarah mentioning woodlot, I was just wondering, I know last year we had there was confusion about because I'm thinking of doing something, what is the permitting again for the woodlot? Could someone tell me?
You were asking me, but you should.
Oh, I don't know, because I just remember you'd voiced opinions on it, so I didn't know. And it shouldn't be an opinion, it should be,
If I remember, what was enforced was if it was 8 or more people, that you have to have a permit.
Okay.
It has to go through the recreation chair.
But that's not really in the borough ordinances.
I don't know, I'm just saying what was enforced.
And how
last
long
year.
in advance do you have to plan that stuff?
Well, I believe that we asked 2 weeks, but honestly,
Okay.
if it's not something huge,
Okay.
I don't know that a permit necessarily needs to be obtained.
Okay.
I think that was unnecessary, so.
I think we should do everything to promote people coming together in any way, shape, or form. And I think having a permit and the insurance and all that, I think just prohibits.
Oh yeah, I didn't even think about that, the insurance thing.
I think that was a resolution, it was not an ordinance.
Okay.
And the reason why we had put this in process is because if you have X amount of people using one of our facilities, then there is a liability on the borough if somebody trips and falls in a gully and breaks a leg. And that was the main reason that this was brought up this time last year.
But how is that different than people just being in the park?
Any municipal-
The insurance carrier basically
That's
wanted
right.
to stop loss. And that was the best way to have stop loss, because if 50 people go up there and start having a real party and somebody gets hurt, if they don't have a permit, then the police can do something without, without being an issue. And then if there is an issue, it was a stop loss more for the insurance companies than anything else.
So was that based on 8 people, or was that just a number that was picked?
I don't
This time
remember that
last year,
part.
we debated it, and I think we said if a family of 8 or 10 want to go up and have a picnic, it's not an issue. But you may recall, we've said, if you get 50 people on our property, the insurance carrier has recommended that there's a process we follow so that it's not a liability issue for us or for the carrier.
So that somewhere between 8 and 50.
No, what I'm saying is, if you have an event with 50 people, it's different
Right.
than having a family going to have a picnic in the woodlot
So,
or the War Memorial. There's a difference, obviously.
What would you suggest for the event that's being planned in the woodlot now?
We carry, the municipal government, any municipal government is covered by their own insurance. So that if the borough would hold an event there, it's covered, we're
But
covered
that,
on
but that's
our
not a
own.
borough event. The
Oh,
women's.
you're talking about.
The women are
Sarah?
walking
Yeah.
up the hill, I don't know, I'm sure she's not gonna have 50 ladies. Us old people won't make it to the top of the hill, so won't be going, but, I think we crossed this path last year around this time, and it was discussed that a group of 8 certainly is very different than a group of 50 having a big party to do.
Well, I just think we should be consistent, and personally, I feel that if you want to have an event, you should be able to do that, and it should be relatively easy. I agree there should be some kind of a process to do that. I don't know if you need a permit to do it, but maybe just, I don't know, but, it's something to look into.
Did we already set a precedence
We
with
did.
food and her
We-
event that we had? She
Yes.
gave us a check
Yes, that's correct. And it
as a
was given
deposit,
back.
then we gave it back.
That's
Right,
correct.
and it was $75 and you gave it back.
Right.
I had to fill the paperwork out, it was supposed to be 14 days ahead of time, I got it in at 9 for the one event.
I
but
believe
it
you
was
slipped it under my door.
I slipped it under your door, it was like made up in an airplane.
Yes.
And you put your
I would
insurance
like-
up, right?
Yes. Here's the thing, guys, we're a working class neighborhood. I had to sign up for that for a year, and that was $52 a month to carry 1.5 million. I wasn't able to cancel it at the 6 month mark.
That's part of my issue of asking.
So there's your answer. That's what we need to do.
I would love it. It's such a beautiful place to be. It really is the jewel in the crown of our little neighborhood.
Mrs. Saunders,
It
I
should be
mentioned to you
utilized.
last year this time, your agent should have given you what's called a one-day event rider.
You can't get that as a part of your personal insurance.
Every-
I'm not a borough. It had to be attached to my homeowner's.
And I remember saying to you, change your agent.
Right,
change your
but it's,
company.
you know what, I also remember
Because a
people
one-day
sitting up here
event-
telling me that if there was an issue with the firehouse, my insurance would go up by $2,000. I didn't have one day event. We were planning multiple days events. It should be. She should be able to have this event and maybe just write down her name and all the information so you guys have it. Maybe write the $75 check, which they can do with that, you know, it's attached or anything. But I think the $1 million policy for anybody over 10, I think that's excessive. And I felt it was punitive at the time. And I would like that we don't do that. If we're already insured, make one person carry that burden just so that a group of ladies can see a sunset. Just so a bunch of kids can look at fairies. I don't think it was fair, and I think maybe you guys should
But you're
decide against
talking
it.
apples and oranges in which you're having a group of people watch a sunset versus, and I think it.
The number was 10. So the number was 10. So
And I
if
forget
if
what
she
your
has-
event was. Was it the
We had
ferry
a
walk?
ferry walk, we had
The ferry
Christmas
walk in
walk.
which you're bringing in 50 people to go
There
up and
was-
down our.
But how do we,
But how do you determine that? Does
You
each
can't.
person submit something
You
and
can't.
go for your approval and say, this is, 10 of my friends who are coming to the woodlot to have a picnic? Or this is, I'm doing I teach theater, I'm doing theater games with some neighborhood kids.
To be fair.
I don't
to-
know, I mean, how do you determine that? Like, I think what Michael was saying is the,
I-
consistency, there has to be some sort of.
I'm just saying with
You've got to differentiate between a small group and a 50 people party.
But it wasn't a 50 people party.
But we didn't know that at the
We
time.
said 10 or above.
Borough event?
It was 10 or above. So let's hope that what Sarah's doing now gets bigger. It's
That's
better,
what I'm
it's
saying.
a big place, let's utilize it. Don't we want, I
We want
want
to encourage
our
you.
event to get bigger. I like the idea of a bunch of ladies sitting around together, which I need that. So.
No wine.
I'm fine with that.
I was drinking in the park.
I would like this space to be able to be utilized by the people in this community without them feeling like they have to spend money. They don't have to do it. I don't mind the permit fee that you give back. I don't mind filling out the form so you know who to tap on the shoulder if there's trash. I completely understand Mr. Powers, who was super nice about how we had to handle it, homemade cookies and coming in looking at our water ice to make sure it was okay when we were giving it out. I totally understand all that. I think the policy was excessive.
Then maybe we suggest anybody wants to do an event, maybe bring it to recreation. And
But
try
then,
to make
but,
it- Yeah.
but if we do that, it's defeating the purpose, because then it's borough liability anyway.
Yeah.
So you might as well not even have that process and just have people. So I think we need to look at that and find a way to make it reasonable for people to be able to come in.
Join the ordinance committee.
Chicken.
Join the ordinance chicken.
I'm
Public
sorry, I
space
don't
committee.
want to take up people's time too much more. And I'm sorry that turned into, I just was asking, trying to clarify. Thank you to Vice President Bull for mentioning 4-H. I love 4-H. My daughter has been in 4-H since she was 7 years old, and she's 15 now. Even though we don't, anyway, 4-H Farm is not run by Penn State anymore. It still exists. It's the Garrett Williamson barn, and if you have kids who want to come and learn how to take care of animals, you can sign up to be a volunteer there. We take care of horses and sometimes sheep, and there are goats there now, baby goats. It's on 395 Bishop Hollow Road in Newtown Square, and it's an awesome resource. So I fully support chickens. There are chickens there now, and they're beautiful, and although right now there's a bird, kind of a chicken disease that's going around, that you have to be really, like at our barn, like we have to be really careful, like we can't go past where the chicken area is. Only registered chicken people who have their hazmat suits. It's very serious because they would have to shut down the whole, lots of birds have been culled and stuff. So anyway,
Millions have been destroyed because of that.
not to do with Parkside. So thank you. Yes, chickens. The benefits of farm education, yes. Just one final thing, the next food drive is June 6th, so if anybody wants to donate, all you have to do is send me a PM with your address, and I will pick it up that Monday morning. Last time we raised over 150 pounds that went to the food bank at Chester East Side, which is open to anybody. We rotated around, sometimes Media Food Bank, sometimes at Faith Community Church, so lots of different churches. So anyway, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, you took the paper.
Oh,
Write down my name.
I'm sorry, I took the sign-up sheet.
We're gonna have a lot of fun. I'll get the one for the roof.
That's the roof.
No, they're fine. Talk amongst yourselves, you're good. Judy Saunders. Couple things. I was wondering, and this was for Mr. Bull, you were mentioning the thing with the Boy Scouts, so that there'll be like a code where you can tell what the different plants are? Is that for the plants they're
project
gonna?
It's in the, I hope it comes to fruition phase. But I've seen the planning, I've seen what the Eagle Scout project is, and it would have actually like QR codes on signs near the trees, so you can actually either read it, which will be on there, or you can scan it and actually get the species, the Latin name, habitat, and everything else in there.
Have we ever considered doing that for the fitness trail? So that while you're on it, you can see the map of it off a QR code on your phone or the different stations?
That's exactly what it is.
So it'll be that would be incorporated into it too?
You have to let the scouts actually make the, you know what I mean? Like you can't truly drive that process.
Okay. Second question, and I don't know if this is something that we could maybe look into, but Matt and I have been trying to get our steps in because we're old and fat and we have to like lose weight. And when we're walking around cleaning up after our dogs and carrying around our little bags of dog poo, we notice there's no place to drop it. Like, you try to covertly throw it in somebody else's trash can, you don't want to do that. Your neighbors are all watching you from dark cams. So what I was thinking of is Matt had looked into pet stations, which we could do on our, on our property or somewhere else that's, what was it, about 150 bucks?
It was about $260 per unit.
$260 per unit, and that includes the bags and the trash can. I don't know if that's maybe something, I know costs are excessive, but if you guys could think about putting around the neighborhood. I think it would be so much nicer, even on my property, than walking around and cleaning up poo that people didn't pick up just because they didn't have the bags with them or a place to throw
We have
it.
little libraries, why not little poo stations?
Yeah, we could have little poo stations right next to the little library.
I'll pay that.
I would. If it was on my property, I'd do it.
I'll pay that.
Well, if I was gonna say, I was thinking of putting one, like one at the Woodlot, one over at Cole, Cole, the War Memorial Park, and then if Ryan, there's a trash can there anyway, he's gotta go empty, he would just change that bag at the same time. But this way, and again, we would be happy to put one right in front of our house.
Yeah, it's getting, like, honestly, I'd never noticed it before because I really wasn't walking my dogs the way I was now. But I honestly am walking around picking other people's dogs' poo up. Because it is people, and I feel like it's just because there's no convenient place. My dog finds the least convenient place to drop a load, and then I have to carry that for like a mile. And I don't want to do that, and I don't want anybody else to do it.
Last night she walked the dogs and I walked the
He literally walked it home like it was a toxic event, and it was. So I was just thinking maybe something nice for the neighborhood.
So, can the dog owners of Parkside come together with a proposal on this? Like,
I have another idea, but
find one dog owner per street who's willing to host such a piece of equipment.
Yeah, I'll start it off. If you guys approve paying for it, I'll start it off.
This person said would be responsible for emptying and replacing the bags and putting it in their.
Yeah, it's like adopting a highway, just of dog poo. It's different. It's slightly different. Last thing I have to ask about is when are the speed bumps coming in, or are they?
Speed bumps, Mr. Powers. Mr. Powers, speed bumps. We're getting speed bumps this year. This year.
The easy answer would be yes, but again, as we discussed in past council meetings in the years prior, I was the one putting them down, I was the one taking them up. The equipment that we put them down with belongs to my son. They're his tools. The generator that we used to run some of the equipment, it was the generator off the fire truck. So I'm not in the same capacity I was at the fire company to use their equipment. And the tools that we do have belong to my son. I can't speak for him.
Okay.
He did offer last year or the year before that he would put them down for us for $75 a street. And at that time, council rejected that offer.
Okay.
I would love to put them down, but my health doesn't allow me to put them down anymore.
I understand. We have them, where are they, in our warehouse?
We have plenty of bumps, we have plenty of spikes to put them down. It's just the drill that we bought really didn't do a nice job. It didn't, we drilled a couple of streets and we were going through $50, $60 drill bits every other hole, which wasn't feasible at that point. And I don't know where the truthful answer is to say if we can put them down or not.
Okay, I'll look into it. All right, thank you.
Minnie Domenico. Anna, I was not shaming you. I have depression. I know what it's like, not being able to get up out of bed some days and function. So I was not shaming you. I asked a serious question. I would like to thank everyone that had helped at the voting polls yesterday, especially Matt. He was a great help to me. Those that were inside and outside. It ran very smoothly. We were back from Rose Tree Park by 9:30. When we were leaving Rose Tree Park, there was 50 cars deep.
That's the one nice thing about Parkside, you get it
Yep.
quick.
Now for the bad news. I know you're all gonna hate me, but I don't care. I would like to know what are the intentions of council with Matt Saunders, who sits towards the back or wherever in the room and belittles the women and get up to talk. He calls them nasty names, and we're supposed to put up with that. That's unfair. When we get up to talk, we should be able to speak with not worrying about names we're being called. This was addressed by Shirley in previous meeting, and nothing was ever done. I feel that what will you do for it's not fair. And he does sit on a chair. Well, he does chair a committee. I forget the name of it, I do have it written down. The vacancy board. How can you allow a resident or of any gender sit on that board, on that seat and belittle the word and personally bully? Bully is to seek to harm, intimidate, or coerce somebody to do what they don't feel comfortable. Belittling, to cause a person or thing to seem little or less of a curiosity too vast that it is almost belittled to main matter. So, you all want transparency. That's been pushed for many meetings, many campaigns, diversity and unity. My question is, what is Borough going to do? I hate to say it, but there's many women in this room that won't get up and talk because they're afraid to be made in front of or called very nasty words. That if my son ever called somebody what he has called people, they wouldn't have teeth left. I'd been in jail. And most people in here would feel that way. So a question should be answered.
Thank you.
No, I want to answer. I have a right, no, don't tell me to shut up, because I have the right to have an answer. That is a question.
But this is public comment.
It is a public comment. It happened in public.
To your comment, and it's a fair comment, because anybody who knows me knows that I don't use any kind of vulgar language. I don't tolerate that. I don't think that's appropriate for anybody to use. So if anybody feels that way in a council meeting, regardless of who you are, what your party is, then...
I didn't even mention party.
No, I'm not saying that. Then we should respect that and work to address that. So Mrs. Purcival, a few weeks ago, raised a concern, and as the chair of the Public Safety Committee, Mrs. Purcival asked for a police officer to be in the meetings. So we have a police officer in the meetings now. So that's one way that we're addressing that. If there's anything that you or anybody else feels like you want us to suggest, I'd be open to listening.
First of all, I suggest that he shouldn't hold a council seat. He holds a vacancy. If I was to do that, or my husband was to do that in public, he would go to jail. He would be arrested or cited for calling another woman something that in public.
You don't go to jail. That's a joke.
Well, I'm saying he would be cited. He would get a citation, and if that person pushed the issue, yes, it would be.
The government cannot arrest you.
Okay, I misspoke. I shouldn't say arrest. But you never answer my questions, Anna. You always avoid them. Always. That's not right. How can you hold presidency now and avoid?
public comment.
I'm not interrogating, I'm asking a legit question.
Questions from the audience.
Do you want me to respond to that? I'll tell you what
Yes.
my response to that is. There are other people in the audience who have also said some very rude and inappropriate things, have made threats. I've heard them, I've heard about them. So I'm not going to address that, because if I did, I would have to address everybody who's done it. And we all know that we sat in a council meeting where somebody actually used vulgarity toward me and suffered no consequences whatsoever.
That was Eric.
So I'm
and
not
he
sure
was-
how
and
I
have that written
understand.
down. And Eric.
You got an answer to that? Go ahead.
Okay. But do you recall when Eric got crucified for the phrase he made?
Crucified by whom?
He got an award. He didn't get
Crucified by whom?
You guys crucified him. You put
In
it
the
all
meeting?
over your
In the meeting,
Facebook.
did
It was
President
all
Purcival at the
over
time
your
crucify
Facebook.
him? No.
And you sat right in that chair there and crucified him. Well, right next to
His
him.
lovely apology.
He immediately apologized publicly.
He really did not apologize to me.
He
No, he never
apologized
apologized
to
to
you?
me. No,
He apologized because Anna felt in a way, not because he did anything.
He apologized.
And if she gets up and speaks again, last time, we were stopped from getting up and asking another question.
Wait. I'm sorry.
We were told we could not speak
told
again.
by President Perry Sweigart at that point. We have always gotten up multiple times up until he did. So unless you voted that we cannot now get up multiple times and make that a motion, he never did. So it's up to you as to whether or not I can speak to this. I am going to speak to it. I have volunteered for this community for a very long time. I know it has been contentious. I understand that. Everybody is trying to move forward now as a unified front. Everybody's trying to be nice on Facebook. Everybody's trying to be good. I sat in this audience when Mr. Long was receiving his award as a member of the audience, and he called Mr. Sidlow a dick at the top of his lungs, and we said nothing about it. Right. My husband muttered something under his breath when somebody was laughing about somebody's personal tragedy. So I understand freedom of speech. You may not like the word he used, but he has the right to say it. And he didn't disrupt this meeting. He didn't call it out at the top of his lungs, something that Mr. Long did. He muttered it under his breath, and somebody heard him and took umbrage. He shouldn't have said it. He shouldn't have apologized.
That was on video. That was captured on video.
I don't know about that, but
And
even
I'd
if,
like
all
you
right,
to ask.
Matt, apologize to the ladies and don't mutter under your breath and Matt. You're not allowed to have freedom of speech, only Minnie
Her
is.
business.
Okay.
I didn't curse at anybody, did I?
Is there anything else borough business?
Kyle Palmer. Just because we were talking about permits and things, I know last year we passed a resolution amending the fees and the event things, but I'm just asking, can we scan and upload those resolutions so that we can reference them? Because right now, all we can reference right now is the code. But anything that you've changed to the code, we have no way of seeing.
I obviously wasn't here last year. The code says it's $15 in any group of 5 or more persons. Are we saying we change that?
Yes.
Change the resolution.
Yeah, a resolution was passed to change it to have insurance and a deposit.
Code, it's right now on E-code, says any group of 5 or more persons wishing to use a park, and it specifically refers to the Parkside woodlot, for recreation or social purposes, or conduct a rally or other gathering of individuals shall first obtain a permit for use of the park by completing an application, and it's $15. So I don't know what happened last year, but that's what it is.
That's the rules, $15.
So $15,
5 people.
submit the application. There's nothing about insurance, there's nothing about.
And it doesn't say when the application has to be submitted.
Yeah, 10 days prior to the event.
10 days
So
prior.
what I'm saying is we were told that they could change the fees if they passed a resolution, and so they passed a resolution to change the fees, and there's nowhere for us to see what those fees are now.
It's in code. You can't just pass a resolution to change a code like that.
That's good to know. Secondly, I just want to stress the importance of interpersonal conflict and communication. So instead of using this public forum to scream at each other, if we have a problem with one another, we should just approach each other respectfully and talk about it. So I know nobody likes to be called names, especially from people they don't know, because it's hurtful. So if somebody hurts your feelings, just talk to them about it. It's not that hard. And then lastly, last month, Councilman Powers mentioned a candy shop, and I think I speak for all of us when I say where and
We need to
when.
know
Where and when, yes.
Sorry.
Candy
Candy
shop.
We need a chocolate fix.
Oh, candy shop?
Yeah.
The lady wants to make it a grand opening announcement. She really wants me to hold off on telling you where it is, but she has the UNO, she has the fire inspection, and when she starts moving candy in, we'll do the health inspection. And then she wants to make a big announcement, and it's a family dream that she's carrying on from her mother, that she wants to do this. It's on the west side of town. That's all I'm going to tell you. But look for the announcement. It's going to be a mom and pop type of penny candy shop. So it's in the process of being painted. I know the rugs have been cleaned and countertops are being moved in, and that's what she asked me, so that's what I'm going to stick by.
We're all gonna be peeking on windows.
So.
Thank you.
Nicole Boyers. Just want to thank everybody. I ran for Republican State Committee, and I just want to say that I want to thank Parkside for helping me crush it, at least in this municipality. This was my first time running for an office. Usually I campaign. I've been worked on campaigns since I was in college, like when Bush and Gore ran, and I was part of the Hanging Chads down in Florida. So I've always worked on campaigns. I've worked on Kim Roman's mayoral campaign. I've worked on some Senate campaigns. Currently, I'm working on the campaign for Doug Mastriano, who's running for Republican governor and won the primary yesterday. But for my first run for myself, it was a great learning experience, a little bit of a learning curve. And although I didn't win in my region here in the county, it was a great first run. I'm very proud of myself and the hard work that I put into it. And I'm on the map. My name is out there. We have a lot of stuff coming up next year with school board vacancies, Delaware County Council openings, council openings here. So I'm going to continue to do my job as working on campaigns and making citizens aware of these openings. I think a lot of us over COVID became those school board parents that started going to school boards, and in order to make a difference in your community, your county, you've got to step up, and really it is an everyday citizen kind of thing. You don't have to have all these big degrees and experience to step up and make a difference. There are small positions, big positions based on your passion, your education, your experience and work. So if anybody has any consideration running for something, reach out to, I know we have Democrat committees, we have a Republican that we keep open, and you can show up to the Republican meetings. Just contact someone on council of that party, or even myself if you're interested in running, to help get through some of that paperwork. It's not really that daunting, it's kind of simple. But I encourage everybody to make a difference in the community at the different levels that are available. And I really want to thank you guys for supporting me. Thanks.
Just sorry, Lisa again. I promise very short. Just want to give it's great when women run for office, and I applaud Nicole for running and all the women who run for office. I want to give a special shout out to all the hard work of Dems in Parkside who helped send Ms. Carol Kazim beat the incumbent Brian Kirkland, and she will face off against the Republican candidate for the PA 159th district. And Parkside really showed up for her by a margin of like 82% or 86% of the walk-in vote was for Carol, and like 65% of the mail-ins. The only reason I'm saying that is I know Carol personally, a lot of people in here do, and she's an amazing force. And if she does win, it doesn't matter who wins, but I'm saying it was nice to see a woman, and it's very historic, even just reaching that, defeating the incumbent. It's a first, the first woman and first black woman to achieve to be the candidate for. So yay Parkside, yay people pounding the pavement, knocking doors, because that's how you get to know people, right? That's how you get to know who are there.
Anyone else?
Can I Can I make a suggestion? Chief, can you explain to them what you got with the money?
Yes, the money that Kim raised through her event was, as she said, $5,700. We were able to acquire 2 new AEDs for the police vehicles. They are already in service, and we are upgrading the security in the police station. We currently have 7 cameras. I think there's 8, but 1 has not worked for as long as I've been here. So there's 7 cameras on the system currently, which cover the front of the building, the back of the building, the office space inside, the cell area, I forget what else. And we're going through the accreditation process to become an accredited police agency. And one of the things that we're trying to achieve is full coverage within the building with cameras. So if we bring a prisoner in and we come up to the back of the building, prisoner comes out of the police car, he's on camera. He comes up the ramp, he's on camera. He comes in the back door, he's on camera. He turns and goes up the hallway, he's on camera. So that every time we are physically handling someone within the facility, it's on camera. So the balance of that money, and I don't remember what the numbers are, will be used to upgrade the camera system with additional cameras at those locations that we're lacking. So that's where the money went.
Thank you. Okay, is there any unfinished business?
Just really quickly, about the junior council position. So that the applications are due for that May 30th. So if there's anybody who will be in high school next year from Parkside, please apply for that. We've already gotten 5 applications, but 2 of them don't actually live in Parkside. So 3 applications. But please apply for that if you're interested. And I wanted to go into a little bit more detail about the interview process and get feedback from council, but we could just do that next month. But if we could get it added to the agenda, the junior council position, to discuss, I would appreciate that. And I also wanted to thank Nick and Rob for redoing the microphone.
Mrs. Sky, again, I'm asking for transparency. I know I'm boring everybody with that term, but you mentioned that Mr. Sweigart was in charge of communications now. Could you tell me when that was changed over?
He replaced me in all my positions. We switched.
Could we have received an email stating that?
I apologize.
So he will now be in charge of communication. Thank you.
Is there any new business?
Did we make the public announcement of who got the grant for the high school?
Oh, are we announcing that? No.
I don't know, I was just, it was
The
circulated, I just didn't know
scholarship,
if that.
Okay. I thought you were talking about something else. Oh, yeah, Kamora Williams, I think her name is.
Are you making that announcement now?
Oh, yeah, I can make that unless you want to make it.
No, go ahead, please.
So Kamora Williams is the one who's going to receive the scholarship from Parkside. And with the different donations and then with Mr. Amuso's added to it, they'll get $800.
And we had some amazing candidates.
Yeah,
I mean, there were neck and neck, these kids. Really impressive this year. Really good.
Could we have maybe invite her to the next council meeting to give her some sort of recognition?
that's fine.
And maybe also, I don't know, this might be a little bit too much, but the winner from last year, because I know he was upset because he got notified the day of and he couldn't make it.
Well that.
So, I mean, I don't know
These
if
are
that's
moved
possible,
on. from last
Yeah,
year.
I caught up with him and brought him his certificate and stuff like that, so.
But at least if we
Yeah,
could do it
oh,
for
yeah,
one
yeah,
person.
yeah, that'd be nice.
Okay, is there anything else? Any more new business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?